Hi, welcome to another edition of the Alan Rosenberg Show. This video is dedicated to David, our friendly subscriber viewer in New Orleans. I'm thinking about when I went to New Orleans. I went to the Museum of Death. This was a cool museum. So David, this one goes out to you. Today we're going to be reviewing the new Jason Isbell and the 400-unit live record called Live at the Ryman Volume 2. This came out, I guess, a week or two ago. And I've been listening to it steady for like 3 weeks because I got a little bit early. Jason Isbell is quickly, over the last 10 years, give or take, becoming really one of my all-time favorite artists. Every time he puts out an album, I get it, and it's always one of my favorite albums of the year. And in fact, many of them have been top 3 albums for me, which is amazing. So he released the first volume, Live at the Ryman, Jason Isbell and the 400 unit. This one came out back in 2018, and that was really cool because the 3 albums that came out before that were all amazing. Southeastern, and then Something More Than Free, and then this one, the Nashville Sound with the 400 unit. And kind of what he did was he took, I guess, like his favorite songs from these 3 albums, or the ones he wanted to put on the live record anyway, and created, just from these 3 albums, pretty much, this Live at the Ryman Volume 1. And it was a great live record. What he did now is really, I think, pretty incredible. He is such an artist, Jason Isbell. It is such a thrill to have somebody who loves his current material as much as his earlier classic material, because the new material is classic. It's absolutely fantastic. And this new live record, Live at the Ryman Volume 2, has 17 songs on it. It's a double album. I'm going to go through it with you. 15 of the 17 songs come from his last 2 albums. Reunions, which came out in 2020. This was my #1 album of the year in 2020. And then Weathervanes, which came out last year. Another fine album. 15 of the 17 live songs on this new live record come from those 2 albums. You talk about confidence, that's an amazing thing. And here's the thing, it's an incredible live album experience. It's fantastic. It's basically like a best of these 2 albums, but the live versions are just on fire, incendiary. So let's go through it. Live at the Ryman Volume 2. And the 17 tracks. So it starts off, he actually opens it up with a thank you. He goes, thanks to everybody. This is our 50th show at the Ryman. So I'm up here in Long Island. I guess he must play there all the time. Maybe it's like residencies. But that's a pretty incredible accomplishment. So that's how he starts this thing off. And then he starts it off with the song called Save the World, which actually comes from Weathervanes. It starts off interesting. It's got like a tinkling of keyboards, almost like the Alan Parsons Project. It's kind of neat. The band starts coming in. You only hear like the kick drum at first, and on the backbeat, Isbell starts singing, and the band starts building up, and you feel this anticipation as the drummer adds like the rim shots on it, and it just keeps adding steam. And about the 2:30 mark or so, the band just rips into a serious driving rocker. And that is pretty much what Save the World is. It's just a great driving rocker. Like the 4-minute mark on the song, you get this really great harmony lead guitar weaving, kind of like Wishbone Ashes in a way. It's a great, great opener called Save the World. That goes into King of Oklahoma, also from Weathervanes, one of the best songs from that album for sure. And it starts with this great lyrical guitar line. You're going to hear that throughout this review. He's got these great lyrical guitar lines. Goes into a really great mid-tempo rocker, King of Twilight. What else can I tell you about it? I like the chorus. He kind of goes like a halftime beat, which slows the song down, and it's kind of jarring in a way. But it creates this tension, and then it gets released when the band kicks back in, into the song, back into the verses. There's a great, great lead guitar solo. It's hard to tell who is playing lead guitar by listening to it, but there's a lot of great guitar solos throughout this album, and the guitars just merge and weave. The band just soars in King of Oklahoma. And the song ends after like 2 minutes plus of just this blazing guitar work. It's just awesome. Um, they're a great band, the 400 Unit. You really hear it on King of Oklahoma. It's an amazing track. That goes into Only Children, which came from Reunions. Only Children, he wants to slow the pace down. We just had these two fiery openers, slow it down, we can catch our breath. It's a really beautiful, delicate, kind of acoustic song. Very much almost like Crosby, Stills, and Nash, I swear. Nice guitar work, great harmony vocals like CSN. Really great track from Reunion, Only Children. That goes into the next song also from Reunion, and that is called Overseas. And Overseas, it's this immediate big sounding rocker. You go from this slow acoustic thing to this driving rocket that's got this another great melodic guitar signature line that goes throughout the song. The band, the 400 Unit, is just lush to have a big sound. And they add this lush, powerful sound to Overseas. The song just like envelops you. It just sucks you in. You're just surrounded with this song. The melodic guitar line returns and grabs you. At the 4-minute mark, give or take, you get another guitar solo which keeps building in power. It's phenomenal. This album, it just keeps grabbing you song after song. All right, that goes into Dreamsicle, song number 5. That comes from Reunions as well. That's another acoustic gentle rocker, so he brings the tempo back. Really good pacing on this. His vocals are outstanding. Isbell's a great singer. And this one is interesting because instead of just a short little acoustic ditty, you get this acoustic jam in it. It's really tasty. It shows you how talented this band is. The fact of the matter is, Dreamsicle goes on for like 6 minutes, but you don't even really feel it because it's just tasty guitar work, tasty jamming. You just don't lose your way. It's just wonderful. That goes into Running with Our Eyes Closed, which comes from Reunions as well. And that's got another tasty guitar lick to open it up. Another melodic rocker. It's got a great hooky chorus. Running with our eyes closed. It just grabs you. The band is loud. It's lush. And you kind of feel like that song should just take off and keep going, but they don't. They end the song at about the 3.5-minute mark. It could have gone on, but it's perfect also the way it is. That goes to Middle of the Morning, which comes from Weathervanes, and another tasty guitar lick opening the song. I keep saying that, but it's true. It's another example of what a great vocalist Isbell is. He just sings really, really well throughout the whole album, but Middle of the Morning, definitely. It's a mid-tempo song, kind of Grateful Dead-ish in a way again. It's just another winner. And then you go to the last song on the first disc, Last Song I Will Write, and that's the only song so far that doesn't come from these two albums. It actually comes from this album, the self-titled Jason Isbell and the 400 Unit album. That song, he actually says before he plays it, this is a song we haven't done in many, many years. It is a mid-tempo rocker again. It's got balls though. It grabs you. It's powerful. There's another great guitar solo. It's got some tinkling piano. And the song just keeps building and building. At the 4-minute mark, man, you get this big, thick, meaty guitar that comes in. And it sounds like a guitar army. This could be like the Outlaws or Leonard Skinner in the 70s. But it's not really like that. But it's just an overpowering guitar army. The band just really is soaring and taking off. And it's an amazing ending to that first disc. You got 45 minutes on that first disc of live perfection. Let's go to disc number 2, which is a 40-minute disc, and it starts with an acoustic set. Really nice. Starts off with Strawberry Woman, which actually comes from Weathervanes. And that's a gorgeous finger-picked little guitar ballad. It's got, the band is so good because you pick up all these little things. There's accordion in there. There's like pedal steel. It's lush, it's thick, but it's a gentle, it's a wonderful track. What a band he has. That's Strawberry Woman. That goes into Cast Iron Skillet, another acoustic ballad that also comes from Weathervanes, finger-picked. Isbell's vocals are just gorgeous. It's so highlighted there, you really hear them. and he does that. After that song, he thanks the crowd. He's humble. He's like, thanks for coming. I so appreciate it. I know it's not easy. It's expensive. You got to get babysitters. It's humble, and it's really nice. And then that goes into the third song on the second disc, Miles, which also comes from Weathervanes. You get a strum of an electric guitar. You know you're done with the acoustic set. We're going to get into this jamming. And Miles is very Neil Young-like. It kind of reminds me of like Down by the River, at least in the verses anyway. The chorus is a very memorable chorus in Miles, and that takes it away from that Down by the River thing, but it's still very Neil Youngish for sure. And what I love also, the band, you get these Hammond organ stabs, and I love that. Hammond organ just grabs you, and you hear that throughout Miles, especially pedal steel guitar anyway. It's like a rock stew, this band. You know, they're putting all these elements in, and it's tasty, and it's powerful. It's percolating, man. It's cooking, and Miles just percolates to a really powerful ending. It's kind of an epic track, I gotta say. Next comes River. River comes from Reunions. Yep, I think it comes from Reunions. And Isbell says this is the debut performance of that song. And not sure how it's going to go. It's very catchy. It's very melodic. It's a bouncy kind of ballad. You feel really good. Gotta say, it reminds me almost like a Garth Brooks kind of a track, or maybe even Dan Fogelberg. It's very uplifting, very catchy. You just feel great listening to River. It's got a nice guitar solo, and at the end of it, Isbell goes, well, that went all right. It sure did, Jason, man. It went better than all right. It went great. That goes to When We Were Close, and that's another great guitar lick. It's ballsy. That one, which actually comes from Weathervanes, very Rolling Stones-like. It definitely sounds like a Stones rocker. Got a good guitar lead. Great chorus, great verses. Ends at about 4 minutes or so. It easily could have went on as a jam, but he doesn't. He cuts it off at the 4-minute mark. Just a perfect rockin' track. That then goes into a track called Room at the Top. The second song on the whole album out of the 17 that are not from these two albums. And that is from this album, this Tom Petty album called Echo. An album that was not a hit for him, and it's actually the opening track on this album. This is a really deep, really good, every Petty album is good, but that's a lost album. Room at the Top especially is a great track. And it's deep. And the fact that Isbell does it, I was like, wow, this is really cool. It's great. But Isbell and the 400 unit, they take it to another level. It's just extraordinary how great it is. There's a guitar solo, kind of reminds me of like a 60s kind of a guitar solo. It is an amazing cover. It's great on the Petty album. It's even better here. Room at the Top is a spectacular highlight of the album. And then it ends with This Ain't It, which comes from Weathervanes. And that's another upbeat rocker. I can picture the crowd. It almost sounds like it would have been an encore. You know, this is the kind of song, it's upbeat, it's got a really fantastic hooky chorus, and it just makes you want to stand out of your seat and dance and boogie in front of your seat, and I'm sure that's what was happening at the concert. Around the 4-minute mark, the song breaks down. So instead of staying up here all exciting, they bring it down, and they got congas, and it becomes like this Grateful Dead kind of guitar weaving kind of a thing that's building up and building up over minutes and adding more power and more power. And I can imagine seeing this live. It must have been amazing. And then at the 7-minute mark, it just releases. It is a perfect way to end this album, This Ain't It. It's an epic ending to truly an epic live album. Live albums are not an easy thing to do. I am a huge fan of live albums. I've done videos on them. My favorite live albums, I've done two videos on that. But it's kind of a dead format. I still buy live records by bands, but they're just never like from that golden age of the 70s or even early 80s to a certain extent. But this album is. This album is incredible. It's fantastic. a great live album should make you feel like you're at the concert. It should sound like one performance. This album actually is not. 13 of the 15 songs are recorded at different venue. Well, it's at the Ryman, but at different shows in 2022 and 2023. Two older songs are on here as well from the Ryman. But he makes it all sound like you're at one performance that's made up completely of just songs from the two most recent albums. And it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. It's a magical, magical live album. And without a doubt is going to be one of the best albums of the year for me, and could possibly be a top 3 album, very much so. That's how good this album is. So, if you like Jason Isbell, it is a must. If you don't know who Jason Isbell is, these 3 albums are great. The previous Ryman album is really good as well. These albums are great, but this is a really good entry. And it shows you how great it is, because there's nothing on these 3 albums on this. I don't think there's too many artists who would put out live albums like that. But he's so thrilled and so much confidence in his recent material, he doesn't need to put any older material on here. Well, it's on other live albums as well, but you don't see other artists doing that. Take my Tennessee hat off for you right there. So anyway, go get it. Jason Isbell and the 400 Unit, a spectacular live album, spectacular album, live at the Ryman, Volume 2. So that's about it. Let me know what you think. Do you have the album? Are you a fan of Jason Isbell? If you're not, you gotta be, because I'm telling you, this guy's one of the best there is. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for watching. If you're new to my channel, hit subscribe. Let's help this little Alan Rosenberg show keep growing. That would be a wonderful thing. I'm here on Long Island. Let's go Mets tonight. Hopefully they will not lose, and they'll keep going and maybe have a Subway Series. We'll have to see. Anyway, thanks so much again. I'll see you next time on the Alan Rosenberg Show.